Very Last Life. Chapter 30. Night Falls on Möbel Höffner. A year has passed since I turned 60. This will be, in 2 weeks I'll be 61. That's 1/20th of my very last life. I have 19 years left to go. The goal at the beginning of this first year of the last part of my very last life, a year ago, was to find out a great thing that I could do, something great. A great last life, a huge effort that made something big happen for my, in relation to me, for my standards. Not world standards, not shaking the world, not moving the world, but for my standards, something in my life that is great, another great thing in my life. And I've done some things in my life which I, use the word great in kind of a very generous way, which were kind of big things in my life, which I'm proud of, and which were good. They're things that you can talk about. They're anecdotes, right? And I played around with a lot of things. I played around with, even like going into politics or some kind of social thing to do on, with helping people at a soup kitchen, which I still think is frankly a good idea. I think probably everyone should be doing that, and I haven't done it enough in my life, and I should be doing it. I should probably really go out this week, and find a soup kitchen I can help out and volunteer. I think that's probably just a good thing that people should be doing, that I should be doing, that I specifically should be doing. Okay, but that's not this big thing, the great thing. And I thought about other things, things that were completely different from the kind of character I am, which would be strange for my character. It would be different from me. And I keep coming back, however, to the main one central point of my life is that I want to be an accepted, respected, maybe even admired writer. I want to be a writer with a bookshelf of my own in the bookstore. So when you go into the bookstore, you say, I'm looking for something by Hansen. They say, the Hansen is here in that section. It's, maybe it's only 3 books. It's not an entire bookshelf. Maybe it's only 3 books, but that's the Hansen section. It's just not, when you're a writer, a book comes out and it's in the bookstores or some of the bookstores for 3 weeks or 3 months, and then it's gone. And only the people, only Brecht and Thomas Mann and Stephen King and John Grisham get a permanent place in the bookshelves where there's always a book that you can buy by Stephen King. If you go into any bookshop in the world, they're going to have at least one book there that you can buy from Stephen King. That's, for a writer, that's the meaning of existence. That's existing. Achieving that goal is to achieve existence. And it's been my entire fucking life. The goal to achieve existence. And I realized over this past year, okay, so I have to admit that this has not changed. This will not change. This is my life. This is the one goal I have. And it's an ambitious goal, and it's bigger. It's a bigger, more ambitious goal than I would admit. That I have admitted until now, normally, because, I'm a nice Mormon kid. You don't admit to big ambitious goals. But the big ambitious goal is, well, it was to be like Stephen King, where you have a body of work that cannot be ignored. But I don't have that body of work. I started too late, and I'm not good enough, and I'm not disciplined enough to create that body of work. So I do not have that body of work. My only chance really is probably one book that is, fabulous, that everyone admires. And then putting another 3 or 4 out there that people cannot ignore, but it's not on the level of that one book. That chance I still have. I still maybe be able to do that in the last 20 years of my life. 19 years of my life. The countdown has begun. There's only 19 years left. So I gave myself a year to decide what I'm going to do with this very last 20 years of my life. And by the way, if you're wondering what the noise is in the background, I took a walk. I took a walk down to the park, and then the end of the walk, I kind of take the long way home. I walk past through on Sachsendam. It's called Sachsendam is the street. It's apartment buildings on one side. On the other side of the street, there's a huge, gigantic furniture store. Maybe it's like a block. It's like a box, right? But it's not aluminum. It's concrete, I guess. It's a huge box. It's called Höffner, Möbel Höffner, Furniture Höffner. Höffner is the name of the guy, I guess, who founded it. And they're closed down. Of course, it's night, and this is on my way home, and the parking lot is empty except for like 3 or 4 cars. I don't know what those are. They workers who left their cars here? Are they people who leave their cars overnight? I'm not sure exactly the mystery of these cars that are parked here overnight in this. Or maybe there's someone still in the shop working. That's possible. In the parking lot, this vast desert-like parking lot of Möbel Höffner, and there's a display on the outside. It's summer, so the rain and all that is not that bad. Outside in the parking lot, on either side of the front doors of the big glass sliding doors, of the furniture place, there is a display section of furniture, and there's garden furniture, and there's couches, like living room couches, and there are deck chairs, and there's a what they call a strandkorb. It's a beach chair where it's made of wood, and you can close it, and it's like a big box standing there, and you open it up, and there's a bench inside, and there's a little canopy on the top, and the sides on either side, left and right of you, are closed. There's a wall, and that's where I chose to sit. And so I'm sitting here in this. It's not a deck chair. It's a beach. The little walls, the little wooden walls on either side of you are, I guess it's to protect you from the wind. So it's like, these are from the North Sea. It's like the beach, which we in Hawaii would not recognize as a beach. It's cold and windy, and so you sit in these beach chairs, and these beach couches, and little beach cabins, and you have your drink. There's a little section here for a drink. I brought a bottle of water with me, and my flask of whiskey, and I can put my bottle of water on this little fold out table. Mini table of for drinks, and I can look out at the sea, at the gray blue gunmetal sea with no horizon. It's an endless. It goes out into a gray blue space of the North Sea, and the waves are not exactly crashing, but they're where the wind comes in. The seagulls, you can hear the seagulls, and all that stuff. Of course, I don't see any of that. What I see is which for me makes more sense, is the parking lot of Möbel Höffner, and beyond the parking lot there's Sachsendam, the car, which the street, it's 2 lanes here, I guess. Is it 4 lane or 2 lanes? 2 lanes here. Maybe it's 4 lanes. I don't know. And it has connections to the Autobahn. And so this is where you go if you're coming and you want to get into the Autobahn, go on to, Hamburg or whatever. And then on the other side of the street, there is a wall, a big wall. It's a wall like the cliffs of Dover, like the white cliffs of Dover, and a wall of apartment buildings with, the black slots, squares of the windows, and most of them are dark for some reason. Why are they not lit? Some are lit, but most of them are dark. Seems very strange to me. And at the edge of the parking lot, before the sidewalk and before the street, are poles with flags on them, and the flags are banners like vertical banners, which have the words Höffner. One of these cliffs of Dover on the other side of the street, the entire block of windows just turned on and it's lit up like a light table, like a light studio. It's lit up. It's beautiful, of course. Of course it's beautiful. Oh no, it turned off. Someone was walking up the stairs and they turned the light on the stairs, on the stairwell, and it lit up the entire stairs, and now they're in the house and the stairwell is turned off. So the entire block that's like, like 4 windows across. I guess 4 windows across and 4 or 5 windows up and down. The entire block of windows that are now black turn bright white when you go up the stairs. And so this kind of the rushing that you might hear, you would normally hear the rushing of waves, the waves against the, against the beach. Here it's the rushing of traffic going back and forth. The bus just is pat. You hear that? That was the bus, and I seem to be alone here. I'm expecting that some bums come by. This would be a place you could sleep. You could sleep on the couch. On the couch behind me, there's a couch. There's living room couch behind me. You could sleep there. You could. I'm expecting maybe a security guard to come by and ask me what the hell I'm doing here in this beach chair, talking to myself. But nothing's happening. But it's not happening. And I got to tell you, there's someone screamed out there, far away. They can't see me, of course. And there's something beautiful about this. I love this industrial wasteland. I love the anonymity of it, that I can sit here talking loud to myself into a microphone, and no one knows I'm here. I'm completely anonymous. I'm lost, and yet the rush, the roar of the city is going on right in front of me, because this is a street, okay, right now, when I'm looking for an example, there's no one on the street, no cars going by, but there will be cars going by soon. It's Sunday night, and so the traffic is less than on at rush hour. And I've always loved this. I've always loved driving on a highway or an autobahn at the night, and then, the cars going by, wondering who those cars are, families, sleepy families coming back from vacation. 2 motorcycles going by. Hear that? 2 motorcycles. Very nice, very romantic. Are they, traveling salesmen going to work? Are they young lovers, couples moving into their first, apartment away from home in another city, in a university town maybe they're going to, and traveling at night? And then, of course, all these trucks coming and going. When I think of trucks coming and going in the night in the Autobahn, I think of Marcel, who does that, who is a trucker. He drives trucks for a living. And I think of him going through the night and these endless Autobahns, endless lights going by. And it seems it's so romantic to me, and it's so concrete and steel. It's romantic. The romantic of the woods, of nature, is a different romantic of the concrete and steel. I'm so glad that we have it. People say back to nature. There's too much concrete. Too many. Oh, another house in the cliffs of Dover just went on. The lights went on. It's I think it's like 6 windows across, 5 windows up and down. I see the silhouette of someone moving up and down the stairs. Okay. But I love the romance of the concrete highways, the concrete paths, ribbons wrapping around the world, going eternally back and forth, and you're always with someone on that highway, never knowing who they are. And then at some point, and then there's a McDonald's sign. And it's McDonald's, it's the golden arches, it's lit up. And it's like home. It's so beautiful. Every time I see that McDonald's sign, I want to go and get something to eat, even if I'm not hungry, or use the bathroom. I often, it's hard for me to pass when I'm going to highway. I have a goal. I want to get there, 2 hours. Whenever you have a goal, you're going from city to city, you're going from Berlin to Munich or something, when you have this goal and you're traveling, you think, I can make it in 2 hours. I'm going to get 6 hours. I'm going to get 3 hours. I can, if I only stop for, the bathroom breaks, or for, a hamburger or a Wurstchen or a hot dog once, I can make it. I have to take a break and get coffee, but if I only get coffee twice, I can make it in 2 hours, and you always figure it out, and it's always, you figure it out wrongly, and every time I pass, I go and I see these McDonald's signs or any of the others. In Germany, there's all kinds of, it's a Rastplatz. They have different kinds of chains of running these Rastplätze, these highway stops on the highway, and you see the signs and you recognize the signs and I'm tempted every time to drive in and be with the truckers and the families on vacation, and to sit on these these plastic chairs in these cafeteria like serve yourself, go through a line, get a plate, dump the hamburger on the plate, whatever it is, and get a drink and a orange juice in a plastic bottle, and you sit down and you there's some other family, and you watch these families, and you're in a community of people who do not know each other, do not want to know each other, and they're traveling in the night. And I just love that. I wanted to, really, frankly, it would be a great vacation just to go from Rastplatz to Rastplatz, just to go from highway stop to highway stop, and just every time drinking coffee and watch the people coming and going, and maybe sleep in your car or sleep in one of these little motels, and just do that for a week and just see where you end up. You don't have to, you can, cross into another country. You can just stay on the highways, just go from lit up McDonald's sign to lit up Burger King sign to lit up, Rastplatz sign, just following the signs in the night. Sleep in these little cheap, they're not actually cheap, hotels at night. I've never slept in one. I don't know if they're cheap. I've never slept in one because they've always seemed too cheap, too expensive to me. If you're sleeping in one of those places and you're traveling on a highway, then you need one of those places, and they use that. They charge you for it. That would be a great vacation. I would love to do that. It would be kind of like a lonely, romantic, weird thing. I would love to do that. And here, not far from home, a couple 100,000 meters from home, I have this feeling in this furniture parking place of that anonymous, distant, concrete, industrial life that I really love. It's beautiful. I love it. It's great. And I've distracted myself from what I'm talking about, which is, what is that last life? I know I still want the one thing that I've always wanted, which is that place on the bookshelf. And analog to that, you're well known. A certain degree of fame, not Stephen King degree of fame, certainly not Lady Gaga degree of fame, but a certain degree of fame where, you exist, right? At least that much fame. And I get a phone call. I will answer it later. And at least that degree of fame. And enough money, the fantasy, I got to tell you, the fantasy that I've had over the last year, this fantasy that started last year, maybe that is the great thing. People are coming into the parking lot. 3 people and maybe a dog. I don't think they see me. They're walking further away along the parking lot. I just see dark silhouettes. They're going, I think, into the furniture part, the other furniture part on the other side of the door. I think they're going to do the same thing that I did. They'll probably have beer with them or something, and they're going to drink. I think maybe they're going inside the furniture place. I don't know. Wow. Well, you see, you do something weird long enough, and you get some kind of encounter. They don't see me, of course. They might hear me. They may wander around and hear me. They may come out from behind or something. I don't know. Very weird. But I'll tell you, this thing, the fantasy that I've had again and again, over and over again, I have a lot of fantasies about my future life, of course, is luxury homelessness. It's traveling the world, city to city, in hotels that I can afford, podcasting from those hotels, meeting people, talking to people, just the waitress, getting them on a podcast. Probably can't do that. Probably would not succeed in doing that, but it would be a great podcast, and I would like to do that. The last thing in my life, interview, go from all around the world, everywhere, everywhere, stay in hotels, not have a home to go to, just keep traveling. Of course, then you have to be basically rich to do that. You have to be wealthy to do that. I don't see the silhouettes. They've melded into the background. I think I would assume they're sitting on some kind of couch somewhere like I am, drinking, I would think. But maybe they've gone into the shop or something. Maybe they have something to do here. Maybe it's the cleanup crew. 3 guys, cleanup crew, it's possible. They seem to be heading across through the parking lot toward the door in kind of a determined manner, as if they know what they're doing and know where they're going. Okay, well, so whatever. They're probably gone now. I probably will not count them again. Or they're going to come and kill me and rape me and, steal this microphone. And so if you hear this podcast and it's not on my channel, then I've been killed. And the only thing of value they got was this podcast, and so they publish it on their own channel. It could happen, I guess. Okay, so the need of the great thing is to do one last great thing. The need of my life is to be big enough, admired enough, known enough to exist, to create a product that justifies my existence in a public manner, not just in a private manner, just not a great book that no one reads, but a book that people read and say, listen, Eric, I know Eric T. Hansen, I read that book, I heard about that, I always wanted to read that book. I know Eric T. Hansen. That justifies my existence. And the cake fantasy, where, the birthday cake with the frosting and everything is beautiful and wonderful, the great thing, the if everything went perfectly fantasy is that I would be homeless for, the last 10 years of my life, the second half of this last part of my life, or maybe even after this very last life, when I'm 80, if I'm still alive then. Be homeless in hotels all around the world and kind of do a little podcast from them and try all the food, try the restaurants and talk to people and just enjoy life in a kind of homeless way. But of course, homeless, I use that word. There's probably a better word. Homeless, implies really poor people who really do not choose what they're doing. So I apologize for that. But I don't mean that. I mean kind of a anchorless, traveling the world life. So there, I've said it. I guess that's the decision, right? Isn't that the decision? I've made the decision. I said in this year I would make the decision. I have a feeling that I could have maybe thought more about it or done more about it, but in fact I've been thinking about it the whole time, and it's kind of coagulated into these 3 things. Existence in the sense of a place on the shelf, the homeless life, and being admired enough to justify my life. So I guess that's it. That's the goal. That's the goal, the threefold goal. I've never reached my goals. I probably never will. The idea of having enough money to travel the world in hotels and do podcasts from hotels. That's that's a lot of money. It's not going to happen. But it's a good goal. And it's a good fantasy, and I'd like it. I'd like the fantasy. And when you live your life, you live it according to certain fantasies, certain things you want, certain things you admire, certain things you want to do. And that's what I want to. That's what I want to do. Is it what I want to do? It's what I fantasize about. Let's settle a little bit and see if it's really what I want to do. But I suspect that's it. That's going to be the thrust of my very last life. Best Berlin night ever. This is the epilogue. I'm back home. I've left Möbel Höffner, and I'm back home. But I have to rant about what happened in the 10 minutes between Möbel Höffner and home. On the way home, it was the greatest thing. First of all, these guys, I saw silhouettes moving through the parking lot in Möbel Höffner, and they were not walking together as a group. Like, a bunch of drunk guys, saying, "Oh, let's go sit there. I wonder, they were like two of them walking ahead, and then another one walking after them. They weren't really a group, and they were walking determined, like they had a goal. They weren't wandering. What can we do now? They wanted to go to a certain spot as if they had a date. An appointment at that spot. And so I saw them walking, and then they kind of disappeared into the other end of this outdoor, furniture display section, and I couldn't differentiate between, the silhouette and the shadows, and so I didn't know what they were doing. And then shortly before I left, I noticed that they left also. They left before me. I saw silhouettes walking away through the parking lot out into crossing the street, Sachsendamm, and then kind of disappearing. I was at that point. I had drunk a little whiskey, and so I was in my pocket. Flachmann. I don't know what a Flachmann is in English anymore, and it doesn't matter. I drank whiskey, so I wasn't that far away. I wasn't really focusing. And so they kind of disappeared down the street or into the apartment buildings in Sachsendamm. And so I thought, okay, they're all gone now. And so, I returned the call, asked her to call. I turned to talk to her on the phone, and I closed it down. And then I said, okay, time to go home. I walked across into the parking lot and towards Sachsendamm across the parking lot. And I noticed that there was someone else was moving, some other person. And it was from that other end where those other guys were. And it was, the other guys were silhouettes. So they were like wearing all black, or it was just a light that made them look all black. But this guy, you could see that he had black pants and a white shirt. And he was walking basically parallel to me, a little bit further towards Sachsendamm, and I walked, and I was worried. I thought, is this a drug deal or something? Should I worry? And then I thought, no, this is, somehow I didn't feel that there was a drug deal, and so I hurried up, and I stopped and hurried and stopped and hurried, and then he crossed the street, and I crossed the street after him, and I kind of caught up to him without really wanting to. But I caught up to him and was about to pass him as he was going into an apartment building on the other side of Sachsendamm. And I thought, fuck it, I got to know what this guy is. And I said, excuse me, what were you doing in the? Can I ask you, what were you doing in the parking lot of Möbel Höffner? And he turned to me, and was a young guy with a beard, well dressed, well kept, shirt tucked in, right? And this is Berlin. Berliners, German Berliners dress like slobs. That's the style, right? Slobbies. Kind of like in Hawaii. Hawaii, we also dress, shorts, old T-shirt, flip-flops, thongs. This is what we do. So this is what Germans do also. But he was dressed as if he were going out in slacks and a long sleeve white shirt. Maybe it was even silk or something. It was a good-looking shirt, and he was wearing a turban. He was like a Sikh. I'm assuming that he was a Sikh. That's how I interpret turbans. I don't know. He was at least an Indian guy or a Pakistani guy or something from that region. And he looked at me and said, and he was not even surprised at all. And he said, yeah, I saw you, talking into your phone. I saw you podcasting. I saw you talking in that Strandkorb. I said, I thought I was completely invisible. And he said, no, I saw you. And I asked him, what are you doing? And what was he doing? He said, I was rapping. I was practicing rapping because there are people in the apartment and I can't practice there. So I go into the Möbel Höffner, and that's where I practice rapping. And there's this Indian guy, and he said, wow, you're a rapper? And he said, well, I'm just starting out, and I have a YouTube channel. I said, well, show me the YouTube. He took out his iPhone and he showed me his YouTube channel, and he has like 300,000, 400,000 followers. So it's a third of a million followers, or a quarter of a million, or something like that. There's likes and followers. It's different. Maybe he even almost has more than, maybe it was only 300,000 likes. But if you have 300,000 likes, then you probably have almost a million followers. Anyway, I'm not sure about the numbers. It doesn't matter. And I said, wow, that's a lot. I have like on my YouTube channel, I have like 500 followers, and like a video of mine gets like 14 likes, and that's success. If this video, my favorite of my very last life, this video podcast gets 14 or 17 likes, it's a huge success. If it gets more than 20, I'm like, I celebrate. I give money to orphans. That's incredible. And this guy, he has like the likes are like 300,000. So and I said, well, wow, you're a star, dude. You're a star. You're famous. He said, no, in India it's somewhere between 1 and 10 million. That's where you become a star. And he didn't have a million followers. And I said, man, dude, you're way better than I am, and I was impressed by this guy. He showed me the video, and a little bit of it, it's not music that I can relate to, but it was a really well professionally produced video. It looked really good, and there he was on that video doing his job, doing his rapping, and he was, practicing his rapping in the parking place in the night, the Möbel Höffner, and it was incredible, and I love this guy. I want to fucking invite him over for dinner or something. I'll make him a hamburger or something. He's a great guy. He's probably, Berlin. He's probably, I don't know, washing dishes at an Indian restaurant or something. That would be, or whatever, Maybe not. I don't know. It would be interesting. He's clearly an immigrant. Did he grow up here? His German wasn't very good, and his English wasn't very good. His English was better than his German. So he is an immigrant, or did his parents come over and he was born here? I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but he has ambitions on YouTube, which I respect. I respect that, and he's putting effort into it. He's putting money into it. It was a professionally produced video. It was a good video. So he probably paid someone to do it. Maybe he has friends who do the, like I do, right? I have friends and I use my friends. So that's also possible. But still, he's serious about it. It's not just bullshit. He's serious about it, and he has, 300,000, 400,000 followers or likes is a lot. And I wish him luck. Amazing guy, amazing. This is Berlin. This is, you walk into a bar in Berlin, and it's late at night. The later the better. The later, the better in Berlin. And you meet people. You meet weird people. All the weird, crazy people I've met, circumstances in bars in Berlin, or on the street in Berlin, in parks in Berlin. It's just amazing. And that's what makes this city so great. That's what makes this the best fucking city in the world. You walk down the street, and like I walked home through an industrial area which borders on a park, and walking through the park, through the bottom end of the park where the street goes through, and I'm walking past there, and then and I pass a group of kids, guys, young men and women, not kids anymore. They're probably in their 20s, walking past them, and they're in two groups in lines, and in the middle there's a little stick in the ground, and in front of them in each line there's like 5 sticks in the ground, and they bend over and turn their butts toward the sticks. And they bend over and throw a stick through their legs, across the little field, past the stick that's in the middle of the field. And it lands somewhere, and everyone says, oh, or yay, or yo, or oh, or hey. Or there's some kind of reaction, which means that they were interpreting the toss of this stick toward other sticks. as either successful or not successful. Yeah, it's a stick. They're just throwing a stick through their legs, you know. They're bending over and throwing the stick backwards to the legs. And it was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. And it reminded me a little bit of this the French game where, you know, you throw balls. You have to throw a ball on a field and it has to get close to another ball, but not too close, but a little bit close, but not too close. And it's very French, and it's basically boring. And the winner is, you know, the winner of the game is the guy who can be most boring throwing a ball slowly towards another ball, but not too close. So it's a game where, you know, the winner is the most boring person in the group. And this reminded me of that, but it was with sticks. It was like sticks that were carved out of wood. It was like, you know, square, rectangular, whatever sticks. And so I walked past it. I said, I can't let this go. I gotta go back. And I went back and I asked the guy. I said, "Oh, hey, can I record this? Can I record? Can I photograph this?" And asked the guy. And the guy sitting next to me, the closest to me, said, he explained what it is. He said it was Vikinger Schach, which is Viking chess. And he explained the rules, which I ignored because, you know, I can't. But I took a video, you know, on my iPhone of these guys, and they really bend over and throw these sticks, you know, within the legs. And clearly there are rules, and there is a strategy, and there is, you know, skills involved, and they know the rules, and they, you know, there were basically guys and girls. There were, on the girl team there was one guy, and the guy team there was one girl. So it was basically guys against girls, you know, or men against women. They were not, you know, being, from my perspective as being an old dude, you know, everyone looks young to me. Everyone is a boy and girl. So, but they were young men and young women. And I recorded it, and I said, you know, have a great evening. And I thought, oh my God, Berlin is such a wonderful place to live in. And summer is warm, and you can go outside without a winter coat. And life is interesting and weird and beautiful. That's it, folks. And thanks for listening. Tune in again next week or tomorrow or whenever it is I do this again. Whatever, I don't know. If you're interested in the things that are really important to me, I write them in books and I put them on videos. Check out my books on Amazon.com or my YouTube channel or my Twitter and Facebook feeds, or subscribe to my newsletter. It's kind of a lot now that I say it like that. Or any of the above, whatever. I hope I can contribute something to your life, or to someone's life, anyone's life really, in some way. I appreciate your support, and I wish you all the luck and success and happiness and fulfillment in your life. Take care till next time.